Hello and welcome to Health and Life with me, Coach Natalie, where I'm spreading love, light, and knowledge to you. And today we're going to be talking about carb cycling. Let me just say this. If you are a woman over 45, you're premenopausal, you're menopausal, perimenopausal, like whatever, in that menopause stage, right? Then this video is for you. You need to sit back and listen, and especially if you are having issues with fat loss, which after the age of 30, I think, we start losing. Every year we lose like 1% of our muscle mass, or it's really something crazy like that. So either way, you lose muscle mass, you gain fat, right? And with our crazy diets in the US, which are so high in carbs, so high in fats, right? It makes it so hard to lose weight, and sometimes we just feel like it's never going to happen. We feel like we're beating our head against the walls. You're losing and gaining the same 15 pounds. They're telling you go to the gym, they're telling you do this, do that, and none of it is working. If it works, it's temporary, and then you're back to square one. So you feel at a loss, and you feel like, hey, this is never gonna happen. So you just want to throw your hands up in the air. So here's the thing, like over the last 2 years, I've worked with a personal trainer, which was, I have to tell you, it was amazing, because before I started working with a personal trainer, I was not moving. So I wasn't moving nearly enough. And after realizing and doing research and realizing how much muscle mass you lose as you age and you don't move, and my body was aching. So this was probably the best thing I could have done. But if most of you out there, if you're struggling, you already know that getting up and moving and just exercising is not going to cut it. You're not going to lose weight doing that. You're just not. And a lot of us have been on these yo-yo diets where we so restrict ourselves, right? Like we've restricted our food so much that our metabolism is screwed up, which does not help. As you get into menopause, your metabolism starts to slow down anyway. So now you've combined that. Now, combine the fact that if you're like me and you love to drink wine, I was drinking a bottle of wine a day. So I don't know which one of you ladies out there can relate with me. I'm sure there are plenty. There are plenty of wine glasses in the store that talk about how us ladies, we love our wine, and they make the wine glasses bigger. It's so cool. It's so whatever, right? Like it's so, oh yeah, I love my wine. Like I'm not giving it up. For every glass of wine you drink, and when I don't mean the big glass, right? That's that big glass of wine that we like to drink. For every 4 ounces of wine that you drink, it takes you an hour. It takes your body an hour to burn that wine off, and your body will stop metabolizing anything else. So that means it's not burning fat, it's not using any carbs. So all the food you're taking in is just being stored on your body as fat. It's crazy, right? So now you get into your 50s, you were drinking your wine or whatever spirit of choice is, you were drinking that like up through then, right? And you were doing okay. And you were drinking as much of it as possible. You maybe gained a few pounds here and then you lost a few pounds, but you know what? You were doing okay. And then all of a sudden, you hit this stall. And not just do you hit a stall, like you're putting it on. I'm just sharing my background with you so you could understand where I'm coming from with all this. And it's been really tough, and I'm just like, wow, what do I do? I had a personal trainer when I was working out. He was like, add extra protein to your diet, do this, and I did. So real quick, another thing that I'm going to recommend, something that I'm going to recommend that you do is something that my trainer had recommended that I do, is get a scale, get a food scale. Get a food scale, and you're gonna have to measure everything. I thought he was crazy. I was just like, what do you mean? Like, how much time do I have? Like, I have to measure all my food? And it's really important, because when you start to do it, like you won't do it 100% all the time, but when you start to do it, you start to see how big of a portion that they're actually serving you. When you go out to the restaurants, or how big of a portion, because you go out to the restaurants and you're used to seeing that full plate. When you come home, you fill your plate up the same as if it's normal. It's not. It's really not. And you'll start to notice that, hey, like a serving for you might be half a cup to 1 cup of rice, which if you measure it out, it's not as much as you normally see. It's enough, but it's not as much as you normally see on a plate. So, it takes a while to get used to that, and you have to work with it to make it so that you can make your plate visually more appealing. But I'm digressing. Either way, so get a food scale and measure your meat. You're going to have to measure your rice, measure your meat and everything. So back to carb cycling. I did some carb cycling with my trainer way back when, but truth be told, I wasn't really measuring my food. And the important thing with carb cycling is that it's a technique used by trainers, people who lift weight, weightlifters. They use this to cut and tone their body and cut fat off their body. And what it is, you have like high carb days and then you have low carb days, and you alternate. And there's a specific schedule that you use to alternate that. And what I love about carb cycling, there's some pros and there's some cons, right? So what I love about carb cycling is that you're not starving yourself. Your calorie count, it's a decent calorie amount. If you had to guess, if you had to tell me, most women, 50, let's say you're 200 pounds. How many calories is they're gonna tell you? You're gonna go somewhere, you're gonna go to the calculator, it's gonna tell you, oh, you should eat 1,200 calories a day. But your metabolism's already slowing down, and your metabolism's wrecked already from you yo-yo dieting all those years, and now they're telling you to cut to 1,200. And you might lose some weight like the first couple weeks, and then you wonder like why you're stalling. Why isn't it going anywhere? It's because you're starving your body. Your body's not getting the nutrients. And 1,200 calories is not just 1,200 calories. 1,200 calories has to have the macronutrients that your body needs, which means you have to have enough protein, enough ratio of protein to fats to carbs that you're taking in to feed your body. So with carb cycling, what it does is your calorie count is a little bit higher, but you have a day where your carb intake for one day is high. And there are different ways to do it. You might have a high day, a medium day, a low day, right? If you just need to lose a few pounds. You may have a high day, a few low days, then another high day and another few low days, go back to high. So you might teeter-totter between high and low. And what this does, research has shown that when you do this, you reset your metabolism and you teach your body to adjust to the carbs again that you're taking in. And so you can go from low carb, feeding your body carbs that your body needs to survive, to having a low carb day where you're eating a little bit more protein, more fat, and your body can metabolize the fat, use the fat off of your body for energy, and it will burn that to help you burn that fat off. And afterwards, of course, there has to be, after you lose the weight that you want, there has to be a maintenance diet. But I started 2 weeks ago, and I decided, okay, I'm going to be strict. No alcohol. I cut out 100% alcohol 2 weeks ago, and I started carb cycling. I used my FitnessPal. I bought the premium because I eventually bought the premium, but I had a carb cycling schedule that I was using before. So for the first week, because I just wanted to see how it was gonna go, I did not buy the premium, my FitnessPal. So I just used the free version, and then to see what happened. So the first week, I lost 4 pounds, and that's the most I've lost in forever. Like usually it's like a pound here, a pound there, stall. Now your weight fluctuates. I've been weighing myself every day, and this is week 2, This has been my second week and I'm down 7 pounds. And I'm eating. My calorie intake is anywhere between 1,900 and 2,000 a day. But using this method, I've been able to, not just that I'm losing weight, but you can literally see in places where the fat is melting off. I think this week, because I know it's working, I will be taking some pictures, because I was a little bit skeptical because I've tried so many different things and it didn't work. Now I have to be strict, right? I have to log my food. That was another issue for me because I'd never done it before. I guess if you're a trainer or if you are a bodybuilder or something like that, those people track their food like all day long. Like they are like on point with tracking their food. But like when you are like an everyday person, a mom or whatever, you get into the habit of not tracking your food and you're just like munching when your kids are munching or whatever, and you eat when you're hungry, and then if you don't feel hungry, you don't eat, and then you're starving, and then you eat a lot, and it's just unstructured, right? Like our diet is unstructured. So I literally started, I said, okay, not just am I doing this, I'm weighing myself every day, I'm going to track my food, and my Fitness Pal has an app. You can use it on your phone. I'm just finding that if I upload it on the computer, it's easier for me to see. It's easier for me to put those details in, and I can put in what I want to eat and run with it. Like this morning, I decided I want for breakfast when I break my fast, I want to have a cauliflower crust pizza, right? So for my macros for today, so today is a low carb day for me. So I get, so my carbs today are low, so that my carbs are at 30%, 20% carbs today, 20% carbs, 45% protein, and 35% fats today, right? So I knew that my fat intake for today, and it's healthy fats. I'm not talking, and just real quick, another thing on carb cycling, you're gonna find that you need to eat more whole foods. You can't, if you're eating from a box, you're gonna struggle with this because you don't know what's in there. There are things that they put in the food that will hinder your weight loss. The processed foods, it's not recommended. You can do it every once in a while as needed, but like mostly you're gonna want to be eating whole foods, whole vegetables. You can buy them frozen, cooked already, frozen, but you want to be eating whole foods. Yeah, so 35% fats, 45% proteins, and 20% carbs for me today, right, of my meal. So I went in, I plugged in all the ingredients I'm going to use to make my cauliflower crust pizza, and I was already at 22 grams of carbs, 39 grams of fat, and 57 grams of protein just for breakfast. Now this is going to make me a whole cauliflower pizza. I probably won't even eat it all, and it's 665 calories for breakfast, because on my low carb days I like to have a nice healthy fat containing breakfast, because when you eat fats, it helps hold you over longer throughout the day. So I just wanted to give you an idea of what breakfast looks like for me today, and with this diet and how I do it. And there's much more to it. You can DM me, or you can drop me a comment down below and I'll respond if you have any questions. But what I want to do, just because this is something for you ladies out there. I think anyone can use this, but mostly for ladies out there who are struggling menopausal, premenopausal, and are struggling to lose weight and realize that you're starting to put on fat and you don't know what to do. I definitely check with your doctor. I'm not prescribing you a diet. I'm not a nutritionist, but I would definitely recommend this to you, because when you start seeing the results, you're going to want to stick to it. And the best part is that you're not hungry. Now, I said there's the upside and there's a downside, right? So the downside of this is that you're going to have to make more of your foods at home. And which is good, because a lot of times you don't know what you're getting when you go to the store, when you go to the store or when you go to the restaurant and you order food. You don't know what they're using to make their food. So you don't know how much fat they use. You don't know how processed the food is. Are they getting it from a can? Is it higher in sodium? Are they using things like MSG, which you are not taking in when you are eating whole foods? Things like that. So you're gonna find that it's doable, right? Like you can plan if you're gonna go out. Like I went out with my husband, but what happens is, what I'm gonna tell you, the story I'm gonna tell you about going out with my husband. I went out to eat with him over last weekend. I said, okay, yeah, I know. I already planned out what I can eat, and I already knew this is what I want to order when I get there. I went to place the order, and they had what I needed, so I placed an order around that and ordered a plate. Let me tell you guys, this plate came out, and I swear it could feed like 10 people. And I wanted a steak, and I wanted some potatoes and some veggies, steak, potatoes, and veggies, right? And I knew how much that I could take in. This plate came out. They didn't have potatoes, so they brought out rice, and then they had it was a Caribbean place, so they had plantain, which I was like, okay, I can substitute plantain for the potatoes. So I got plantain, I got rice, I got beans, and they brought out sausage, and there was steak, and normally I would go out, order this platter, and I might eat half of it. Look, guys, I ate a piece of the steak, I had my plantain, I was done. It was just too much. But that's after knowing what my plate should look like. And it takes a while to understand, and people tell you, but until you do it yourself, because everyone is different. Your calorie intake is going to be different than my calorie intake for the day. And you still want to be mindful, because the other thing about carb cycling is that it also is scheduled around what kind of activity that you're doing, right? Or if you are active. Because if you are active, you want to be scheduling your most strenuous exercise days on your high carb days, because those are the days where your body needs the fuel, and you'll use it, work out, and you'll feel good. And a good point of reference for you when you're starting this, right? If you're thinking about trying this, I found a carb cycling calculator to help you figure out what your calorie intake should be and what your percentage should be each day. It will tell you, like, Monday, this, Tuesday, this is your percentage of carbs, fats, and protein. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It will give you for the whole week, and you just rinse and repeat every week. You just redo that schedule. Now, what you add to that can be different. And I do have a sample. I have a sample of a 7-day plan for carb cycling that I can also attach in case you're wondering, like, what can the food look like on a carb cycling schedule. I'll attach that for you. It helps to have that idea, because that's how I started for the first 7 days. But it really is important that you're monitoring what you eat, you're following your exercise schedule. And if you're not exercising, like the first couple weeks I didn't, and I still lost 7 pounds, guys, because I guess that's how good this actually works. I wanted to get my carb cycling schedule set first and understand what I was doing, know if it was working before I threw in exercise again, because the exercise is only going to help, and it's going to help shape me. But you want to, like, at some point figure out your exercise, and you're not going to be hungry. There's no way you're going to be. If you're hungry, there's always going to be something to eat, and you'll get breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. If you're fasting, you can either incorporate all that into that shorter eating window. And what I mean by fasting is, for those that don't know, is that I don't eat. I stop eating around 8 o'clock at night, and I don't eat again until about noon the next day. I don't start eating. So I give my body a break, and that also has its benefits in fat loss along with a healthy diet, right? So when you combine intermittent fasting with a healthy diet, your fat loss is potentiated. Yeah. So if you want to intermittent fast, you can, but I'm just letting you know what I do. You don't have to. But yeah, so you want to make sure that you're eating the food. And the other thing with carb cycling is that you want to eat the food. Especially if you are like me and your metabolism's broken. Like your metabolism's all screwed up. Like I had done keto and I was like, why is keto not working? And keto to me was very restrictive because like it was just basically when you go out, there's a lot of foods you can't eat. With this, I love it because like your carb count is a little bit higher on this, and on your high carb days, your carb count is really high, guys. So you do want to take the opportunity to exercise on those high carb days because you will have more energy. And that's really what I noticed with this too, is that within 3 or 4 days of carb cycling, you may or may not see weight loss up front. I saw some, but you may or may not see weight loss up front. But what you will see is you will see your energy increase. I had been struggling with inflammation and had done a lot to decrease the inflammation. So I thought, you know what? It's a lot better. I'm good. I'll tell you what, that first week, like I had inflammation around my ankle. My ankles just go away that I didn't even realize was there. Like my calves and everything. And I have ways to go. This is the first 7 pounds. But it's 7 pounds in the right direction, right? And with having something that works, that I can follow, that's simple, right? But requires, just like everything else, anything you do requires that you put in the work to get it done. And that includes your health. And so many times we're like, oh, it takes too long. It's too much. I used to do it too. My trainer, when I was like, what? You want me to have to document everything that I eat? And he's, Natalie, you really need to do this. And I was like, oh, but like, when do I have time? I have to work. I have to do this. But I find time to do everything else, right? Like I would find time to go buy a bottle of wine and drink that wine. I would find time to go out to the store and go shopping if I need to. So why not just take that time? Because it's a really depressing place to be when you're like, you start to lose weight and then you're just like, it creeps back up and you feel like your life is spiraling out of control, because every time when you're broken and you are starving your body of the nutrients that it needs so you can lose weight, not just do you gain back the weight, but many times you put on extra weight, and the inflammation that comes with that is not fun. It's not fun, guys. So anyway, drop me a comment if you're interested in this. I've been talking about putting together some type of group for us women to get together and just support each other. And I haven't done it yet because I've just found myself like going back and forth, and I'm like, what is going to work for me? And interestingly enough, I'm suggesting this because research has shown that this helps with women that are premenopausal or menopausal, because of your hormone levels change, your metabolism changes as you reach this age, and it gets harder. But researchers have shown that if you carb cycle, that you can still eat in this particular way and have fat loss, which is amazing, right? So why not? So I was thinking about putting a group for us to get together, and I just was, with me struggling, I didn't want to put together a group while I was struggling myself. It's still a struggle, right? Because I still have a ways to go, but I'd love to take you on the journey with me if you want to come, if this is something you want to do, because for each person, what works, you may have to tweak your schedule a little bit different. You may need a high, medium, low carb day. You may need a few more low carb days and just a couple high days, depending on what you want to do. And depending on where you're at, right? If you're just starting, you may want to start slow. You may want to start with high, medium, low, right? Like high, medium, low, take a break. There are different ways to do the carb cycling. But anyway, I will attach I'm rambling now, so I will attach the link to the carb calculator that I found, which is awesome. I will attach a link to MyFitnessPal. I don't get anything. That's just what I use. And I think right now they're offering the first month free if you want to go for the pro version. That will allow you to add in your specific daily carbs. It was a little tricky, so I may do another video and on how to add your daily carbs into MyFitnessPal so that you can track different days. You have different values for different days, because at first I was just like, it kept erasing them. But anyway, I'll do a separate video for that. So anyhow, I hope this message finds you healthy, happy, and smiley. And until next time, I am sending you love, light, and knowledge. Spread the wealth.